Welcome, welcome everybody. Happy Saturday. It is a Saturday. Thank you for being here. Thank you, divas and dudes, for watching at home. My name is Raquel de Hoyos. We are on week 3 of our series, No Carb Left Behind. So we've been basically kind of taking a look at how to incorporate some delicious dishes using some different kinds of carbohydrates and primarily different types of pastas. So we've done things with couscous, we've done things with orzo pasta. Today we're going to use soba noodles. Has anybody ever tried soba noodles or cooked with them before? A couple of you? Okay, great. So they are a Japanese buckwheat noodle. So great source of protein. We want some good, as I was saying in the last couple of weeks, when we're working with carbohydrates, our body needs them, right? We need them for energy. And the thing is to find ones that have really good nutrition and then to pair them with other things that you can add to them. So we've been doing a lot of great veggies added to the dishes. The first week was spinach and making the sauce out of that. Second week we had all sorts of, we had oranges, we had apricots, we had some nice fresh herbs. Today we're going to kind of keep it simple, and I kind of try to match my ingredients to the cuisine, so sort of an Asian flair on the salad. I pre-cooked our pasta for us, but basically this is the package that I used, and you can find soba noodles pretty much readily available in most supermarkets now. This package makes a pretty good amount. I would say this is probably enough for maybe about 6 servings there. The recipe you have here is based on 1 cup serving. But basically you want to just cook it like any other pasta. Put a pot of water on the stove. Some people like to add some salt to it just to kind of season the pasta as it's cooking. I did not for today. Because again, if you want to watch your sodium, try to kind of take it out where it doesn't need to be, or if you don't need it. We're going to add some in through some ingredients that we have today, but I did not cook it in any salted water, but you could. And I cooked it for about 6 minutes or so. So bring it up to a boil, turn it down to a simmer, and just let it cook until it's al dente like a regular pasta. So it's a nice one. I've been also using, some of the other pastas that we use that are quick cooking, right? So we want dishes that are kind of quick, simple. This is another one of those, but great nutritional value because it's a buckwheat pasta. So I'll pass that around in case you guys want to take a look at that, but you can find, I know we've got some great stores in this area that have all these wonderful ingredients. You could probably find different variations maybe of this. I've seen some in like a sweet potato version. If you can find that, that's really tasty. When I lived in Seattle, there was an international Asian store, and it had beautiful, you think about the aisles of you go to the store and you see pasta, they had whole aisles of stuff like this, and it was beautifully packaged, and that was amazing. So if there are stores like this here, I recommend you go check them out.
Stores will have the potato starch noodles.
Okay.
The classical Korean dish japchae is the sweet potato noodles.
Okay.
With all veggies.
Wonderful. So check out some Korean stores if you're looking for that sweet potato noodle. But yeah, this is pretty easy to find now. So I cooked that, let it chill. Some of the recipes we made before, I recommend eating them chilled, but you could also do them kind of room temp, especially that couscous one that we made last week. That would be a nice kind of warm one to go with a protein like a grilled chicken or something like that. This one I like chilled. So I've made a batch in advance that you guys will taste, but then we'll have some to take home too. Okay, so the noodles are cooked, and then we're gonna make basically kind of a simple dressing to go over that and then add in all these colorful veggies. So I'll walk you through what we have today. The other thing that I cooked in advance and takes not a lot of time either are these beautiful edamame, so soybean, right? Soybean pods, or soybean. But these, you can find them in the freezer case. You can microwave them, put them in a little boiling water. They don't take that long to cook. Just drain them, chill them. So I've done that. Great source of protein. So this is wonderful to have in the salad as well. We've got some purple cabbage. We've got some matchstick carrots and some nice fresh cilantro. We've got some green onions, a little bit of lime, and some ginger. And then for our dressing, we're going to use garlic, the ginger, and then I've got here some tamari. You guys know I like to use the light tamari, but you could also use soy sauce in this one. I've got some sesame oil, some regular canola oil, and then I've got one of my favorite ingredients. I've cooked with this before. You can usually find this now at most grocery stores, sambal oelek. sambal. It's like a nice chili paste, but if you don't like things super spicy, I can't often tolerate too much spice, but this is kind of my go-to because it's got great flavor. And then we're going to just balance it out with a little bit of honey. So, and then we're going to season it a little bit with salt and pepper at the end, but the dressing is pretty simple. Those are the ingredients. You could also double, like I make it pretty simple. I don't like things too super salty, and I was sharing with folks, like I had some respiratory stuff a couple years ago, and my sense of taste changed. So it could have been COVID, right? A lot of people kind of had some things happening with their sense of taste. So I always tend to under season, especially if I'm cooking for other people. That's kind of a thing too that I was taught when working in restaurants. Like, yes, when you're going to a restaurant, you taste things and you're like, this is great. Why does it taste so great? Well, there's some things in there. There's some butter, there's some salt, right? But when I was cooking professionally for people, especially people who had some health concerns, I always had to under season because, you know, they had different things going on. But that was sort of the safer way to cook, and then they could kind of adjust as needed. So that's kind of also how I cook too. Anyway, so we're going to do a couple things, add to that. What I'd like to do first is add our veggies, and then I'll show you how I made the dressing. So one cool thing that I saw recently, so red cabbage, you know, you could just take your knife and just shave this, right? We want it kind of nice, thin little ribbons. But I have a peeler here that I'm going to show you. I mean, if you have just a peeler at home and you don't want to use your knife, look at this, right? Yeah. So we're just going to, and it makes these really nice, fine, just kind of thinner ribbons. Sometimes people have some sensitivities digesting raw, especially if you're starting to add more kind of fiber to your diet, and this is kind of a nice way. And some people just don't like the taste of red cabbage. I love it. I love the color. Somebody was saying Fiesta. What looks Fiesta? This is kind of a Fiesta colored, right? Yeah. There's a lot of good colors in this recipe. So I'm just going to do a cup of this. This would also, I was thinking about it this morning, this would also be great if you pickled this, right? Because I'm not going to use this whole cabbage, but you can definitely keep this cabbage and use it for other purposes. But I would say pickle some of this, and that would be great on top of anything, but also in the salad.
How would you pickle it?
So my simple method for pickling anything, especially if I want to make it really quick, is I just take whatever ingredient it is and add a little bit of white vinegar, maybe just a little sprinkle of regular sugar, and just a pinch of salt and pepper. And that is it, and I kind of let it sit. You could add some herbs to it as well if you wanted to. I don't know, maybe some dill, maybe some fresh parsley. Okay. But yeah, super simple. Okay, so let's see where we're at. We probably need a little bit more. It's about maybe half a cup there. But see how beautiful that is? And I'm always, you know, telling you guys, try to kind of get things that are about the same size, right? Nobody wants a big chunk of something in their mouth while they're trying to like have a conversation at a dinner party and you're having to chew on things. So I'm going to try to get a little bit more of this. I don't really want too much of this part, right? But we're going to try to get in there. But this is kind of a cool thing. I mean, it never kind of occurred to me because I'm always just using my knife, right? But I saw this and I was like, that's actually kind of nice for this. Let me go this way. There we go. That gives us a little bit more. So think of this the next time you're making a little salad. Cabbage is one of the easiest and still one of the, you know, most affordable vegetables that you'll find out there. And I love it also because it holds well. Like you could have a head of cabbage in your fridge, use a little bit for something like this, and then it'll keep, right? Sometimes when you buy things like the bagged greens, you have to use those right away. And if you don't have time to cook, or maybe you're not feeling well, right, and you don't want to cook anything, that can kind of go to waste, and you don't want to waste money, especially now because groceries are very expensive and they're not getting any cheaper anytime soon. So I think this looks great. It's just fun too. It's very zen. Okay.
Could you use the size of the square graters? You know, it has the
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. If you've got one of those box graters,
Yes.
yeah, perfect. That would work perfectly too. I just thought this was kind of fun. And I love that it's just kind of like these thinner, yeah, more shaved. So we're going to add that. Yes, definitely a Fiesta salad. Okay, so I'm going to set my cabbage aside. Let me just clean up my board a little bit. This peeler actually, my mother won it And she was so excited. And it was funny because I have, a kitchen full of things. And she's like, well, that's my peeler. It's like, okay, well, I'm going to borrow your peeler today. But any peeler you could do that with, or a box grater. Okay. Actually, we can use that too. There we go. Just want to clean some of this up. Okay, and then the next thing we're going to do, let's do actually some carrots. These are already, if you need to save some time, you could also just get a regular carrot and shave it. It's going to be a little bit thinner, a little bit wetter. I buy these little matchstick just because I like them. They're fun. And they're a little more crunchier, I think. Got a little more texture. So we want a cup of that as well. Nice full pack of full cup of packed carrots. Sorry about that, guys. Again, running on fumes. Okay. And then it's a cup of the cooked edamame. These are some of my favorite. You can actually buy them in the pod too. Sometimes when you go to restaurants, you'll see that. They're just kind of steamed and then lightly salted. Those are so good. I have another salad that was kind of like a protein salad I used to make for a client, and it had these in there, and she just loved them. And I was like, we got to find ways to add the protein, right? Okay, so now we've got that in there. We'll do some green onions, just 2 green onions. And I'm going to use all of it. So I like to cut it kind of diagonally or on the bias, as they say, just for some pretty, it looks a little nicer. And I just kind of run my knife just like so, kind of sawing it like that. I will tell you, so when I was learning how to cook and was working like in restaurants and doing catering for many years, I would probably get maybe a B- on this because they would always say cut them as thin as possible. But when you're doing it really fast, they look beautiful, right? Because they're a different shape. But I'd probably get a B+ on this right now. I can hear my past teachers in my head. I worked with this amazing Australian chef. He's now since passed, but he was, I think I told you the story. I had to learn how to make hard-boiled eggs for crab louis salad because I worked at a seafood restaurant. And I don't know how many times I had to get those eggs steamed or boiled correctly because you can't mess up the center of that because it's part of the dish, right? And he had me do so many because you have to get them out of the water at the right time. You have to put them under cold water at the right time so it kind of shocks them and they don't have that green ring around them. I don't know how many cases of eggs I went through, but he was like, I am going to get her to do this right. And I did, but that was a trial there. Okay, and then we're also going to do a little bit of cilantro, about a 1/4 cup. So you can use all of it. I'm going to actually, because we're just going to chop this all together, but I have a few pieces in here I don't want to use because I see that they're, when you go shopping for this, sometimes when it's so tightly bundled in the rubber band, it's hard to see what's underneath. But if you can see here, you can use all of this. But see this piece here? It's a little blemished, so we don't want to use that. Sometimes to make my life easier, I just kind of cut it from the stem down. And you could do that too. Put that in like a little cheesecloth and maybe with some other herbs. And when you're cooking rice, when you're steaming rice to make that, put that in there and then you infuse the rice with that flavor. So set that aside for a little bit. I'm just going to I want this kind of finely chopped. So we'll do that. About a 1/4 cup by the time it's all said and done and I've got it chopped down. Well, see, the trick is to just enjoy it, turn on your tunes, get your favorite little beverage next to you, have some girlfriends over, talk about the day, the week. It all goes by, so fast, and you have to just enjoy the moments when you're in the kitchen with people. I don't get to cook with people as much as I used to, and I had a friend over. It was around the time that we had that ice storm, and I was showing him how to make tomato soup, the tomato soup I'd made for you all. And it was so nice to just cook with people again, because I don't get to do that much. So I highly recommend it. It's a great source of just, people. Where was I? I was talking to somebody recently through work, and we were talking about like isolation and how important it is to be with people and how it can affect your heart, right? And so it's important to kind of have your social connections. I love that you guys all kind of get together for these classes, not just mine, but all the classes that Thrive Well offers, because it's so important. Okay, so we're going to pop that in there. And then what else we got left, ladies? Ginger, yes. Okay, so that's it for the actual veggies and things that we're going to throw in. But look at that. That's so great, right? Beautiful. The picture that I took was amazing too, also. I loved it. When I took it, it just came out perfectly. The light, everything, and I was like, this is a great salad. But let me show you the dressing next. Push some of this aside. Okay, so for the dressing, we're just gonna do, very simply, I'm gonna do 1 clove of garlic. So I'll mince that. I realize it's been a while, but I give myself some grace today. I did forget an instrument, but that's okay because I got a knife. I was using it this morning, and when I washed it, I forgot to put it in my box. But my microplane zester to grate our ginger, but you can just also chop it. That's okay. So I'm going to just finely mince this garlic, and then we'll mince. We want about so 1 nice big clove of garlic minced, and then we'll have about a tablespoon of the ginger. But that's going to be the base of this dressing. And yeah, I just do a batch, but I eat this salad, a lot of these, because they're so fresh, they have these nice fresh ingredients. I always say within 3 days, this is a great one to make, like if you're having somebody over for lunch, brunch. Because I don't like to keep these longer than like a week, just because they're such fresh ingredients. And usually they're so good they don't last that long. I might make this, and yeah, by about 3 days in, I've had it for lunch and dinner, and it's gone. Other things that would be great, and to also add some additional nutrition to this, would be some nuts. So what kind of nuts would you recommend? What would you guys like to see in this if you added nuts?
Roasted pine nuts.
Roasted pine nuts. Ooh, that would be interesting. Sunflower seeds. Yeah. Almonds would be great. Even cashews would be great. Or peanuts, right? It kind of keeping with, if you see a lot of kind of Thai or sort of Asian recipes like this, peanuts would be great. Okay, so for our ginger, sometimes I kind of try to make it easy. This is one where you're like, she makes it look easy. Ginger is always fun to cut because there's so many different shapes to it. But I try to peel it a little bit first. You could also take your knife to do that. I just find this a little easier. I'm just going to peel a little bit, and then we'll mince that up as well. You want about a tablespoon of this. Now, if you have some, just kind of, you don't tend to like stronger flavors, I would say go a little bit less and kind of adjust the seasoning on this. But remember, the noodles, they're going to soak up this flavor. This is one definitely where you want to kind of let it marinate so that it picks up a lot of the flavor. And this is one where it tastes amazing once you let it chill for a little bit. Okay.
So if you have a lot of ginger left behind, after peeling, I just freeze the whole block, and I want to then just grate it frozen over things.
Yeah.
It comes out really nice. Do you
Yeah.
take the skin off first? It's also easier to peel it using the spoon.
That's right.
The skin.
Yeah, that's a great tip. So you can also use the tip of a spoon to just kind of peel that skin off of it. It's pretty thin. And then, let's see if if you have extra, frozen is great, because then it's easier to grate.
What about turmeric? Would that be okay in the salad, or do you think it would be a touch too different?
It would be good for color, but I think it might be a little too bitter.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I just got some fresh turmeric
So
recently, and I thought about using it. What did I make? Oh, the pasta that I was telling you about that we're going to have next week. But I ended up using powdered turmeric because I forgot I had the fresh. But that would have worked. Yeah, if you're doing kind of like a curry or, again, like a rice, you do the same thing. You can peel it, just like ginger, because it's, same thing. And then just grate it or chop it like I'm doing here. So I'm gonna see how fine I can get this. Break this down a little bit here. Oh, I think, let's see. Is that gonna be about a tablespoon? I think so. It smells wonderful. You can put this slice in your tea while you're chopping your stuff in the kitchen. I've been telling you all that I haven't been having coffee lately because my stomach is saying don't have coffee, but today it was warranted. I did half calf. It's actually been making me feel a lot better. Sometimes you just have to listen to your body, pay attention, right? I was less kind of just like anxious, less bloated, a little more sleepier, but I was finding things that could help me sort of wake up a little bit more. So like I was doing a little more yoga, stretches, kind of trying to find some time in the morning to kind of clear my head before a busy day. So, you have to find those things that kind of help replace some of the things that you can't have in your life at the time. And usually I kind of have my things that I can go to, but I do love a cup of coffee. Yesterday, as we were very busy for our event, everybody was having coffee in the morning, and I was like, I'm okay. I made it. It was a good long 16-hour day, but I did it. Yeah, okay, this is looking pretty good. You could also, if you didn't have fresh ginger, use powdered ginger. I would just start with a little bit amount because it's also going to be kind of strong. Just kind of tailor that to your tastes, your taste buds. Okay, that's probably a little bit more than a tablespoon. Let's see how we did. There we go. Okie doke. What I like about doing it on the microplane zester is that you get some of the juice in there too, right? And you'll still get it from this too, but I'm going to set that aside. And then we're going to get our lime, cut that in half, and we want 1 whole lime squeezed in there. Vitamin C, right? We've got some nice citrus flavors in this dressing. So a little bit of acid as well from the lime. I don't know if you could make this. I'm always trying to look at recipes that do double duty. I don't know if you could make this into another sort of like dish, maybe as a bowl also. What would you add to this if you wanted to use this as a base for like a protein bowl, or what do they call them, Buddha bowls? Chicken? Grilled chicken would be good. I think we had mentioned shrimp. If we did something like that, might kind of, tofu would be another one, right? It's always nice, especially if, maybe you just don't have the energy. That's going to be me this week, to cook. Try to find recipes that you can kind of pull out of your arsenal and then just make them into something slightly different. Because you already know you love the ingredients. You're just kind of putting a different spin on it.
What about chickpeas?
Chickpeas could work. Maybe swap out the edamame for the chickpea. Yeah, definitely. Okay, we're going to add in our tamari. So we're going to do 2 tablespoons, I believe, of that. Yes, okay. And this is the light tamari, but like I said, you could use soy sauce if you wanted to. I just like the flavor of this. They also sell a regular one if you wanted to go full salt and you don't have any issues with your sodium. We're going to do 2 tablespoons as well of the sesame oil. I'm kind of sad that there's only one choice for sesame oil at my grocery store, because I remember that store I was telling you about had so many different kinds, but I've only been able to find this one. But I'm sure if I shopped in this neighborhood, I could probably see more. Okay, and then we're also going to do 2 tablespoons of canola. If you did not want to use canola oil, I don't know that I would recommend using more sesame oil because it is pretty strong. So I would maybe play with that a little bit because you want to have enough dressing to coat the noodles, right? What else could you do maybe if you didn't want to use the canola?
Extra virgin.
Extra virgin? Yeah, you would definitely taste that flavor. It would come out a little bit more. These are kind of milder, except for the sesame. The canola is kind of a neutral, as they say, oil.
Peanut oil maybe? No, but sesame and peanut may not jive.
Oh, right.
The only one I can
You
think
could
of
be
maybe.
sesame seeds can be solid and then you can use peanut oil.
Hmm. Oh, that's good. Thank you for reminding me. That's hidden behind all of our ingredients, our sesame seeds. We're also going to add that. You could just sprinkle it, but I'm going to throw it in the dressing. Yeah.
Avocado olive oil?
Avocado or the blend would be great. Also, there's something called grapeseed oil that's pretty mild. That would be good too. So we're going to do 2 teaspoons, but if you like your stuff a little spicier, go ahead and experiment with a little bit more. I'm just going to do 2 today. Wake up our taste buds this morning. And then that honey. The honey is just 1 tablespoon. And this again is to just kind of balance out all these flavors. So a little bit of sweet. It's kind of like, you know, when you're making a tomato sauce, they always say add a pinch of sugar, right? Because you've got some things that are kind of acidic and savory. And did I do it? I didn't. I meant to do it. When you have oil in your spoon and you put the honey in, it just slides out a little faster. That's okay. Got that. And then, I don't know how I ended up with 3 tablespoons, but I love it because then I don't have to put dry sesame. See, actually, okay. Let's see. So 2 tablespoons of the sesame seeds. Now, if you wanted even more flavor, you could just put these quickly in a little pan and toast them to bring out more of the flavor. And you could just actually put it on top as like a garnish. You wouldn't have to put it in the dressing. But I think that would be great. I love sesame seeds. I have a good friend who she is allergic to anything sesame, which is really sad because she's Iranian and there are some really beautiful dishes that have sesame seeds, and so she can't enjoy those. She does sometimes and she pays the price. But I thought that was, I had never heard of somebody who had sesame allergy. Okay, so I'm going to give that a little stir. Did I get everything, ladies? Salt and pepper. So yeah, so the salt and pepper I kind of just add to the salad at the end as I've mixed everything, but this kind of comes together really nicely, really quickly here. I just want to make sure that honey at the bottom gets all emulsified. It smells great. You know, you've got the juice, the lime juice that's got bright acidity. If you didn't want to use that, there's some recipes, like if you saw on the back of the package of the noodles, they use rice vinegar. So that could take the place if you're not a fan of like the citrus. I think we had somebody in here who's like, I don't really like lemon. Rice vinegar or some kind of vinegar. If you do use rice vinegar, just know there's one that's just kind of a plain, which would be great in here. And then there's some that are seasoned, and so they tend to be a little bit on the sweeter side. So I would say if you're going to use that, don't use the honey in here because it might be too sweet. Okay, so I am going to just mix this all up now. Make sure that everything gets dressed. This seems to work for me. This does the trick. But you guys, like I say, use my recipe as kind of the starting ground and then make it your own. So I'm just going to give this a toss. These nice tongs kind of make this a little easier, make this job a little easier. But you want to just make sure that everything gets coated in that. And of course, all of our veggies are going to fall to the bottom, so we want to make sure that we give that a good stir. But I love how the cabbage, you know, you can have some, you could, if you didn't want to use your peeler, just use your knife. Try to get it as thin as possible, but I do love that it's kind of more shaved. And if you wanted to add more of any of this, I would not stop you from doing that. But it's pretty much what we've got, right? So beautiful. So you've got enough to kind of share with some friends or pack it for lunch and have that for a couple of days. But I love that it's beautiful colors, but it has great nutrition, right? So this is what we're looking for, the balance of all these things. So we've got some great buckwheat noodles. We've got the protein also from the edamame, but then we've got some nice veggies. And you could, I mean, I would highly recommend if there are other veggies that you wanted to add to here, you could do that as well. What would be something, if you wanted to add one more vegetable to this, what would you guys put in here?
Spinach.
Spinach, okay. Yeah.
Artichoke.
Artichoke, all right.
I thought purple onions.
Purple onions would be great. Yeah, all of those would be fantastic. So give it a try. This is a nice one to make. It's kind of also kind of nice spring salad, right? They're light. These are things too. People tend to think of carb dishes. That's why I wanted to do this series, like of heavy pastas, full of cream, full of cheese, all of that, right? And we love those too. But I always say we need the carbs, and it can look like this instead. So. I'm going to have my lovely assistant Rosie have some samples go around, and then we'll have this also if you all want to take a little bit home. Divas and dudes at home, I highly recommend you guys give this one a try. But as I'm kind of wiping up here, let's move on to nutrition. Okay, so today, let me refresh my memory. What I wanted to talk about, oh, okay, perfect. So we talk about a lot about carbs and what that looks like, and sort of when you hear guidelines, dietary guidelines, I think you all had a class not too long ago where we were talking about the new dietary guidelines. So that's always helpful to know. Obviously, it's also going to vary depending on your circumstances, right? So things like how active you are, what kinds of, like how much, most of the dietary guidelines are based on a 2,000 calorie diet. But if someone is, sedentary versus someone who's very active, that can look a lot different, right? Your body has different nutritional needs based on those things. Could also be factored into your health, restrictions with food, dietary restrictions, right? Or just allergies and sensitivities. So there's so many things. This is definitely not a cut and dry black and white thing, but it's kind of sort of a, like it says, guidance, right? One of the things that I always like to recommend as we're talking about, encouraging people to eat more things like carbohydrates is to sort of find the balance. In macros, there are three main things. So you want carbs, right? You also want some protein, and then you want some fats. We've had some classes and discussions around fats. The word, unfortunately, in our culture has a bad connotation to it, but we actually need to have fat in our diets as well. It's the way that we choose these ingredients and we choose these macros that makes the difference. And we talked about that as well in the first week. When we're looking at carbs, refined versus unrefined and things like that, like the quality of the ingredient, the quality of the carb is also going to make a difference on your health. But when it comes to macros, when we talk about sort of like the holy grail of the trinity of the things that you need, protein, this is again based on a 2,000 calorie diet. You need about 30 to 35% of your daily value coming from protein. Carbs, you need about 40 to 50%. And then fats, about 20 to 30%. So broken down, it's like 225 to 325 on kind of the higher side of that percentage of grams of carbs. That would be the equivalent of 50 to 175 grams of protein and 44 to 78 grams of fat. So this is kind of just, like I said, guidance, right? But then what does that look like? Because we always talk about that and we're like, what does that actually look like? How would that translate in real life? What are sort of the portions? Because that's kind of how we see, right? When we cook, like, what does that mean? Is that a handful of what? Is that what size of meat? So I wanted to kind of walk us through some examples and then also look at it across different meals that we might be enjoying. So if you take a look at the right, 225 grams of carbs. All of these items listed under there equals about 225 grams. So you would have 2 cups of rice to consume throughout the day, a cup of oats, a banana, maybe you'd put that banana in your oats, a potato, and an apple. So think, this is just for the carbs, but you're having other things in your diet throughout the day. But if you wanted to reach kind of that lower end of the 40%, this is about the amount that you would need to eat. And that looks like quite a bit, right? So just to kind of have an idea of what that would look like. For the proteins, this is a little bit different here. So an 8-ounce chicken breast is about 50 grams. That's a pretty sizable, like In restaurants, I think our standard was like 6 ounces for a protein for lunch and 8 ounces for dinner for a protein. So think about that. 1.5 cans of tuna. I love tuna. I don't know if I could eat a whole can and a half, but that's 50 grams. A whole block of tofu. Also love tofu. I don't know if I could eat a whole block in one sitting. But so think about, kind of keep that in mind for protein. For fat, 3 tablespoons of just olive oil is 42 grams. And these are healthy fats, right? Olive oil is one of the healthiest fats. 5 tablespoons of peanut butter, 40 grams. I could maybe knock back 5 tablespoons of peanut butter throughout the day if I was eating it with like some apples or some celery sticks, right? I mean, maybe I could do 3, but 5, if on a good day, if I was really hungry. Maybe I was working out a little bit more that day, went for a long hike or something. 1.5 avocados, I could easily do that. I can eat a whole avocado. I've been trying to eat more of them. They're great. I wish they were cheaper, but. And then 3 ounces of almonds. So, a nice little snack portion size of almonds, 42 grams. So down below though, I wanted to have you guys take a look at, let's say for example, for breakfast, you had those, that 1 cup of oats. Maybe you make yourself some nice steel cut oats, some oatmeal, the banana that goes with that, but maybe you wanted a little bit more to kind of get your day going, right? So you have a slice of whole wheat toast, maybe a little peanut butter on that, and maybe a side of 2 hard-boiled eggs. That in total would be 67 grams of carbs, 15 grams of protein, and 18 grams of fat. So this is just for breakfast. So we're going to break it across the whole day, right? So that's looking pretty good. So we took kind of that amount at the top and I divided it across the meals. So this is just your breakfast portion. The lunch, maybe you're just keeping it simple. I know for me, like I can't have a big meal in midday because it really makes me tired and sleepy. And since I don't drink a lot of coffee anymore, when I'm really busy, I need something kind of light, but that's fueling me. Like this is great. It doesn't kind of drag me down, but I feel like I'm getting enough nourishment. There's a lot of fun things in that salad. So maybe you do a cup of brown rice, right? So we've got some good whole grain in there. You've got some chicken breast. You've got a cup of different kinds of mixed vegetables. Maybe you do some nice roasted veggies, a little bit of oil to roast those, and then maybe an apple as a snack there as part of your lunch. That's only 70 grams of carbs, 25 of protein, and 16 of fat. And then dinner, maybe you want to enjoy that delicious, pasta. So you have 2 cups of pasta. That's quite a lot. If you think of this is about a cup serving, right? 2 cups of pasta. I don't know if I could eat that these days. Maybe you can. Maybe you've gone for a long hike too. Half a cup of marinara. So you've got some nice veggies in there, probably, right? Again, the olive oil. Maybe you're adding some more veggies on the side. And then you've got a little bit of cheese. So you got some dairy and protein there and some fat. That comes to 100 carbs, so that's a little bit higher, right, because of the pasta, and then 9 grams of protein. Where are we getting the protein from in this part? What do you guys think? It's only 9 grams. Pop quiz.
Is it from the
Parmesan.
It's from the Parmesan, that's right. Okay, and then 14 grams of fat, which can come also from the Parmesan and the olive oil. Maybe there's a little in the marinara, possibly in the pasta, depending on what kind of pasta you use. You could also do like a whole wheat pasta. You could do like those chickpea pastas, the red lentil. Like that's another way to encourage more nutrition in this dish. But this is still fine, And across the day, this is how it would break down so that you kind of accommodate the macros and hit your goals in all of those categories. Now, this is just these 3 meals. What if you're snacking throughout the day too, right? So you want to take that into account. Maybe you've got a couple snacks, maybe mid-morning, late afternoon. I know sometimes people feel like that 2-3 o'clock slump and they're like, they reach for something, find something. Maybe it's some fruits, veggies. I've been trying to do more like savory because my office tends to bring a lot of sugar in. I'm like, come on ladies. But when I go on the sugar kick, then I want it more, right? That's what happens. And so I've been kind of trying to trick my brain into saying, you want crunchy, why don't you have some celery sticks and some hummus? And then my stomach's like, cool, all right, I can work with that. But that's pretty much how that would work out. And so I like to kind of show you the breakdown because I often hear these things and I'm like, okay, but people really want to just know what this looks like, right? Because Because when you're out there cooking your meals, or you're going to, pick up something on the fly at a store, or even the grocery stores have these nice, great, ready-to-go meals. Like, this is kind of a good guidance for figuring out, like, what do I want to be reaching for, right? All of this is really to say, when we make choices about the foods that we eat, let's think a little bit about what we're choosing, right? Sometimes we go for the quick fast, but that's okay, because sometimes the quick fast, as long as you know what to choose and you're choosing something that has just a little bit more nutrition in it, that's going to help keep you, as they say, satiated for longer, so that you're not reaching for those things that kind of have the quick, like, the things that we love that taste great, but then later on you kind of feel like, okay, that didn't last long enough, and then you're hungry and reaching for more. So things like this, these delicious noodles, I hope you guys are enjoying this salad. It's very quiet in here, so I'm guessing it's a thumbs up. But yeah, it's definitely something that you want to think about, especially as we're talking about, like, how do we make dishes like this that are satisfying, beautiful colors. I love, Ruthie, that you said, what's the fiesta? This is the fiesta, right? We got all these great colors. But just that you're incorporating more of those things that kind of help balance out. And this is a great, what do we say on the other side? Nutritional, pretty good, right? So we've got 224 calories. This is based on a 1 cup of this. The carbs are about 11% of our daily value, so that's pretty good. The sugar is coming a little bit from the carrots and things like that, a little bit of the honey, right? Protein, you've got about 16% of your daily value, so 8 grams. Sodium, definitely, is a little high because we've got some ingredients, and then we added I forgot to add the pinch of salt and pepper in our dish, but you guys have it in yours. And then fiber. I think this fiber number looks a little too low based on everything that we have in here, but, this is kind of also guidance. Some of these tools that I use, they give you sort of a good close approximate, but yeah, definitely, this is a good one. It's colorful, it's flavorful. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Yes, question.
Can you explain the glycemic index and the load? What is that like?
Yes. Okay. So let me see if I can remember. I might need some help here. Glycemic index. One is. Okay. You stumped me this morning. Hold on. Let me. No, it's okay. One is how quickly your body absorbs, like the sugar, and then the other one. I'm gonna have to look it up. Sorry, guys. Hold on. Okay. Hold that thought. Actually, hold that thought. We got time? Yes. Okay, we're doing good on time. Glycemic index. It's a good question, and I remembered it, but I don't. Hold on a second. What's my phone doing? I might need help. I might need to call my Lifeline ladies because my phone's doing something weird. It's going blank. I didn't today, but my phone did.
So, here, did you find it? It's under AI overview.
Okay. What do you got, Maria? That's weird.
Glycemic load is a tool that measures both the quality, which is the glycemic index, and quantity, portion size of carbs in a food to estimate its impact on blood sugar levels.
Okay.
So
And
complex carbohydrates take longer to be absorbed, so that will have
That's-
a low glycemic index.
yes, that's
And
correct.
the more fiber you have with your carb, the slower is the absorption. But if you drink pure sugar, it's a rapid rise in absorption,
Yes.
so that has a very high glycemic index. So for diabetics, you recommend eating foods with low glycemic index, and the amount you eat would be your glycemic load.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. So what I was saying about, like, you want to find foods that kind of have those complex carbohydrates. That
Not a
donut.
donut. The donut.
Yeah.
will-
That's going to be the quick. That's going to be the quick carb. So you can enjoy those too every once in a while, but they are quick sugars, right? So if you think about, like, those refined, like the baked goods, the processed kind of things have those quick carbohydrates that you feel it instantly. But something like this buckwheat noodle, going to kind of be slower absorbed. And again, yeah, great point for people who are diabetic and have to watch that. That's a great thing to consider
And
too.
it's
So
gluten-free. The soba noodles is gluten-free.
that is true.
It's not
Yes.
a wheat.
Right.
It's called buckwheat, but it is gluten free. Yeah.
Very good.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies, for being here today. We've got one more week. Next week, we will be wrapping up our series with it's a carrot curry lentil pasta. So stay tuned for that. All right. Thank you.